This week on Blind Like Me, we talk smart speakers, how they can make a visually impaired and blind person's life a lot easier at home. Details coming up.
This is Blind Like Me with Tim Black. Tim is visually impaired and loves to find the latest tech and apps for those who are visually impaired or blind.
Well, thanks very much for listening to this week's edition of Blind Like Me. I want to thank you very much for the likes, the follows, and the downloads that have been going on for this show. It really does show the fact that, the information we're putting out is hopefully helping you. And we've got some neat shows coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So again, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest edition of Blind Like Me. Well, this week we are talking about smart speakers. This comes from an email, or this week's topic rather comes from an email from somebody by the name of Mike, who wanted to know if I was using smart speakers in my day-to-day life at home. Well, I am. And, these things are great. And Mike, if you're listening, to the show this week, I would highly recommend getting a smart speaker. Now, I mean, I'm not going to play favorites on the Dot or, the Google Home or the Google Home Mini. I'm not going to play favorites on those. That's up to each individual person to pick whatever they want to do. Always go with the best price point. That really is something that I would go for. And that's why we have the Google Home Minis, because when I was looking to get into these, they were on sale. So that's why I did them. If not, I would have gone for whatever was on sale. How is the little speaker helping someone with a visual impairment on a day-to-day basis? Well, here's a few things that I use the speaker for. Number one, listening to podcasts. Yeah, there you go. That right there is such an easy thing to do. Now, I'm not going to say the command that will actually, allow that to happen, because I don't want if you have one, to go off. But that's what you can do. You can actually ask your device to play a podcast or play music if you've got it hooked up to, either Google Play or Spotify or whatever like that. It can actually play music for you. Here's the other really cool thing that I like using it for, and that's waking up every morning. I say, good morning, thing, and it will actually tell me the latest news. Now, we're here in Canada, so I have choices of getting, the CBC or CTV, BNN, and then, of course, you also get, like the world news from the BBC, which is really kind of cool. So it starts your day off by telling you the news. How great is that? And the weather. Right? I mean, that right there is so cool that you can wake up and do that. On the flip side of that, you can actually say good night to your device, and it will tell you your calendar for the next day, and also tell you, what the weather forecast is going to be like for the next day, so you can plan yourself accordingly. The other thing that I like about having my little Google Homes here in the house, or the Google Home Minis rather, is the fact that if I have a question, I don't have to actually go to the computer or my smartphone and, turn on all the little things that I use to, make it read the screen. I can actually just ask it a question. So if I have a question about, I don't know, politics, it will give me the answer. If I have some strange math question or something, it will give me that answer. Or if I'm in the kitchen and I want to know how to cook something, it will give me the answer. Usually faster than my wife, actually. I only ask when she's not home, because I think it would be rude to ask the thing and not ask my wife. Anyways, that being beside itself, it actually really does help that way. And it's those little things too, the little conversion things, right? From ounces to whatever you would convert ounces to, or Celsius to Fahrenheit, or, feet to inches and things like that. I mean, if you don't have the calculation in your head, or you don't know right off the top, it can do those for you. So again, another really, really good thing. There's another feature if you have the Google Minis or the Google Home. It can also do a broadcast. Now, I've only ever used this, I think maybe once. And if you have multiple in your house, it's kind of a neat thing, because you can go through your phone. And the way I look at it is, remember the old intercoms that we used to have way back in the 70s and 80s? They were all the rage, right? Everybody had them in their house, or or you didn't have them in your house, you knew somebody who had one in their house. They were usually the people who had the really, really nice houses, right? And they had an intercom system. Well, the Google Mini and the Home actually have that. You can actually do a broadcast. So you can grab your phone and say, hey, supper time if everybody's around the house. Again, that depends on how many of these little things that you have, placed around your house. So I'm going to say, honestly, I was kind of skeptical when I got this. I didn't think I would use it to the full extent that I do. And now I'm honestly using it every day, from playing radio from around the world, which I think is cool, to, as I mentioned off the top, playing podcasts, asking questions. You can make phone calls with it as well, which is, it's just kind of bizarre. You can stand in your living room and make a phone call. It is really quite cool, and it's amazing to see what the technology is allowing those with a visual impairment or blindness to do so much easier these days. So back to Mike's email question, should I get one of these? Absolutely. I honestly, if you can afford to do so, grab a couple. It'll make your life a lot easier. And then, expand from there. The other thing too, we haven't even touched, is the fact that you can tie these things into your home automation, right? So we have lights set up in our living room and our kitchen that I can tell our Google to turn on or off, which, sure, you can walk over and, turn the switch on, but how cool is it to have it set up that when you come home at nighttime, when it's dark and you say a command and boom, the lights come on? I think that's really, really cool. Especially you're walking into a kitchen, you just ask them to turn the lights on. Sure, you can hit the switch, but being nerdy and all, it's kind of fun to actually have the thing set up that you can actually turn on lights. The other thing that we haven't done in our house yet, but I know other people have, and that is tying it into your furnace. You get one of those Nests, or even just a thermostat that is compatible with one of the smart speakers, and then you can just do the voice command to have your furnace turn up a couple of degrees, turn down a couple of degrees, or whatever. I think the automation and artificial intelligence for those who have any disability is absolutely amazing. It is making life so much easier. I think about, you go back in the day and you would just struggle to try to change the temperature on the thermostat in the house. You never know where it was. I still, to this day, don't know what temperature I'm setting at. When I hear that little click, I know that I'm in the comfort zone. Right? If I hear the click on the other side, I know I've gone way past the comfort zone. It's going to be stinkingly hot in whatever room that I'm turning the thing up. Automation is just an amazing thing that can help everyone every day. And you know what? We talk about the blind and visually impaired on this podcast, but even if you don't have a visual impairment, I would recommend this for yourself. It's just, if it plainly comes down to it, it's fun, right? We all have a little bit of a nerd in us somewhere. These are just fun. So to sum up, again, to Mike's email, go ahead, Mike. Grab yourself a couple of whatever you want, the Dot or, the Google Home Minis. Again, go back to the price point, whichever one is on sale. That's the one I would go with. You may need somebody who is sighted, by the way, to help you set them up. There are a couple of steps that you have to go through. But if you're comfortable enough using your smartphone that probably has voiceover on it, you should be able to make it through. You just download the Google Home app. If you're using Google, and if you're using the Dot, then you download the app for that as well. So there you go. That is artificial intelligence intelligently. Could we say that? Does that make sense? Artificial intelligence intelligently. Well, we tried anyways. Go get them, set them up, and see how much it makes a difference in your life. Hey, thanks very much for listening to this week's edition of Blind Like Me. Again, as we mentioned, please make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to future episodes. And stay tuned. I have a new podcast coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be telling you more about it. Have a great one.
Thanks for listening to Blind Like Me with Tim Black. If you have an app or product that can help make a blind person's day easier and you'd like it featured, contact Tim at blindlikeme@outlook.com or find us on Facebook.